Okay. So, yeah, it's kind of funny because I made an observation a long time ago, and you're just noticing how birds don't like humans, or the crows or pigeons outside, right? And they're scared of us. And I said something, oh, it's because, we sinned and we kind of ruined everything. And then I found out that George Whitfield from a couple hundred years ago made the same observation. And I was like, dang it, I thought that was an original idea. But yeah, unfortunately, you're the reason why your pet's dead, kind of. At least that's what I hope to not tell my little boys in maybe 7 or 10 years when our dog dies. And it's your fault. Rudy died. Yeah, that would traumatize our children, and they would probably have to be, yeah, getting help psychologically for that damage that I would cause them. So my goal is to not say that to them. However, we are the reason why everything does die. So let's see. I think it's, let me look it up, but I think it's death through Adam. I think it's in Romans. Let's see. Am I right? Okay. Romans 5. Romans 5. Therefore, just as sin entered the world through one man, and death through sin, and in this way death came to all people because all sinned. Okay. So in other words, it seems like in Romans, from the reading of Romans 5, that death enters the world because of sin. So prior to sin, there was no death. Now, obviously, it begs a couple questions, because one of which has to do with an evolutionary worldview that is dependent upon death in order for future life to continue. So that does come into conflict. But what we see in Romans 5 versus the evolutionary natural selection worldview come into conflict. So that is something to wrestle with, for each of you to kind of sift that out and decide. But I would say, in terms of it does beg certain questions, like, is it possible that Adam could have stepped on an ant if there was no death? Or would all the ants magically just move away before his foot landed? Or if humans were underwater, could they be underwater for a long period of time, like forever, if they couldn't die, right? So did we have permission to have gills, in a sense? Not literally gills, but like, our lungs could breathe in water. I'm not really sure what life was before the fall, but it does seem scripturally that there was no death of anything, but that death came through sin, right? So yeah, unfortunately, the whole entire world is affected by sin. And the question is great, because it asks this idea, the idea of culpability, in terms of why are animals affected, because they get skin diseases, heart failure, whatever, right? And they have to deal with the consequences of sin, but we're the ones that did it. So I think it's just, unfortunately, the nature of sin. The nature of sin is just a contaminating virus that transcends the laws of nature, if you will. I think in a sense, like, the human body was designed to live forever, but because of sin, we have deterioration and bodies that fail and get really old past their prime, and all that stuff. So I think for understanding the idea of sin, there are some cases in the Old Testament, right, where it does say that there are animals that are culpable of murder, and then you have to stone the ox or whatever it is. But yeah, in general, I think it's just because of the nature of sin, because because we are moral creatures, uh, we have a moral conscience. We are to live in worship to God. That the animals are not subject to those laws, right? So I mean, there's no marriage amongst lions or whatever. So, for us as humans, just being moral beings, when we sin, when we usher sin into the world, the very nature of it is that it is a contaminated effect and it destroys everything around us. So I think with that you get all the diseases, all the pain, all the death, all the everything, right? So that is unfortunately the problem with sin, is that everything else dies, although animals aren't culpable. So yeah.